No, this is good. Usually after lunch, I get sluggish, but it's a good way to interact. And Codemotion is just a great opportunity to meet and network with people, of a lot of developers. So overall, right, we're going to talk about video today, and this experience of you meeting somebody is what we're trying to do, is extend meetings, collaboration, video, and try to bring that user experience into what we're providing. Right? It's not going to be the same as meeting in person, but Cisco is definitely driving high quality telepresence, quality of service type of video conferencing into these applications that I'll show off today. So my name is Josh Reola. I am a business development manager in Cisco, and I'm in the Cisco Spark API business unit. Quick raise of hands. Who knows what Cisco Spark is? Wow. Okay, that's good. Good job. Anna is in the Cisco Italian team, local. So any questions, you can go to her. But that's good to hear. But for you guys that don't know much about Cisco Spark, I'll go over into that in today's agenda, right? So I'll give you an overview of Cisco Spark, and then I'll also go over why an SDK, a video SDK, go over some of the use cases and benefits. The other part of the agenda is going to go deeper into the Spark SDK, the capabilities, our video SDK, and then WebRTC capabilities. And then in the final two, we are going to go over what a Spark widget is, and then I'll go into demoing some Xcode on iOS of the SDK in action. So about me, I'm a computer engineering major. I did a lot of stuff on microcontrollers, not really like full-on hardcore software, but that's how I started. And then I went over to Internet 2, where I did some research and development on SIP. So if anyone can answer what SIP stands for, I'll give you a Spark sock. Do you know what? Okay, there you go. I have 2 more of those. Good job. So SIP is a protocol that every kind of video application and audio application used nowadays. So everything is standardizing on this protocol, and I'll get a little bit more into that. So I was able to study under Henning Solshrine. So he kind of co-authored the SIP RFC 3261, and I did some enhanced emergency services, or E911, protocol research while I was there. Then went to Nortel for a few years, doing a lot more voice over IP and video work, and then landed up at Cisco. I've been at Cisco for 10 years. I got another sock. Do you know where Cisco came from, the logo? No one knows where the logo came from? Or what the full name is? It came from? No. So it came from San Francisco Bridge. So back in the 80s, we're really big, one of the largest companies in the world, before the bubble burst. But been with Cisco for about 10 years, and been focusing more on unified communications and telephony and voice over IP and video conferencing. So from there, I got to help out with writing the CCIE Quick Start Guide, and got that published. And then I'm also an entrepreneur, a startup guy, right? So I have a startup, very exciting time for all you guys to be in. I don't know if you guys, raise your hand, who's in a startup or is working on a startup, and okay, you got one, that's good. It's not for everybody, but it's hard work. But I live in Austin, so it's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, right? And it's an exciting time to be in that space. Also an EMT, so kind of a paramedic. Yeah, so when I'm bored, I kind of like, hey, get out of tech, get in an ambulance. So I do a lot of things. So enough about me. So SIP, good job, is Session Initiation Protocol. And this is fundamentally what Cisco Spark is running on in the cloud. So SIP helps bridge together a lot of disparate communications, right? So voice and video is part of this, so you can make calls. On the right side, you can see that there are response codes, right? Very similar to HTTP. So 100 trying, 200 okay, but I'm not going to get into that. I just want you guys to take away that SIP is the standard protocol going forward for our company, but also if the entire world was on it, I could call you based on your email address. So if you know how SMTP works, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, that is basically the protocol where you can email anybody and you don't have to worry about what their IP address is. Hey, what's your IP address so I can email you? No, it's your username at your company or domain name. So SIP is also borrowing a lot of what has been developed with DNS and using those same type of fundamental protocols. So with SIP, in my email, I have email/SIP. So if you have a SIP client, I could click that client and I could call, josh@cisco.com. So with a lot of DNS that's set up, I could call somebody based on their SIP URI, or Universal Resource Identifier, which is similar to a URL. So we're going to go explore a little bit about that, but SIP, you can definitely do a lot of telephony and video. So how do we communicate? This is a study that was done, but 70% is done verbally, and then 93% is done visually. We're pretty big in the video conferencing space, so we have a lot of high-definition telepresence endpoints that register to the cloud, to the Spark Cloud, as you can see right there. You have telephones, and then you have desktop clients. So mobile, tablet, Android, iOS. Spark runs on it, and we're trying to bring that experience now onto a workflow that I'll show you. So real quick, I'm going to go and show you Cisco Spark demo. You can go to the Apple Store or Android Store right now and play around with it. It's free to use. So this is the client itself. You can see that I have favorites. I have people I could talk to. These are various teams or spaces or rooms that you can join. So persistent messaging. You guys probably have your own. There's Slack, there's HipChat, there's us. So we have our own, but this is a enterprise version. To understand about the SDKs, to understand some of the components of this, so that's why I'm level setting you guys on this. So you can see that there's a lot of people in this room. So if I click on that and click on people, you're going to see that there are 700 people right now chatting, or at least monitoring and watching what's going on. You can see presence, active 1 hour ago, 8 hours ago. I'm out of office. This ties to my Exchange calendaring environment, so it just automatically changes my icon with a plane. The other thing, too, is you can see external users outside of your organization. So outside of Cisco, this is a Cisco domain that was created. You could see, Presidio, Telia company, and other people that are a part of this space who's chatting with. So you could identify the external users. Sankar is in, he's with CDW. He's in, I believe, in Minnesota, but I could message him directly or make a video call. So one thing to take out of this is Spark is a messaging, it's not a, well, it's a messaging platform, but it's built first for meetings and video. And then it has messaging tied as part of the solution. So it's meetings first. So let's go ahead to this tab. You'll see that we have a lot of teams. So you can create teams based on functions. So you could have an engineering department, you could have a computer science, math department, and then from there you can have, math 101, 102. So I'll just go to a Spark ambassadors team. So you can see that this is a general where everyone's at. There's one for bot kit developers, so howdy.ai. So this is a space where people can join to do howdy.ai bot development. We have also, just my sample one is our VSAMs. This is our sales team, but basically there's about 8 of them, but there's multiple bots that we have, right? So we can do bots integrations into this platform, into the chat. Now, a part of this is video calling, so I could hit call and it's going to call all of them, and I can select an endpoint. So if I had a dedicated video endpoint, it's going to control that, and the video and audio is going to come through that, and I can control it from my application. But I don't have one with me, so I'm just going to do a computer, and then hit call. They're probably sleeping. They're in the US right now, but you can just see that it's an ad hoc. I just want to do a meeting right then and right now. Hit cancel. I could even add users on the fly if I wanted to. Whiteboarding is part of the solution. If you have not seen our YouTube videos or our announcement, we launched like a 55-inch and a 70-inch, it's coming out, Spark board. So think of it as a giant iPad. So if you are doing a lot of whiteboarding, desktop sharing, and collaboration in video, that's a good solution that we've launched that ties in with this. So I can do a whiteboard, and then other people can join in and whiteboard as well. So let me do this. Hi. And if I was on a call, on a video call, they could all see this and also collaborate and draw as well. So you can see that it's posted here, post snapshot, and then I'm going to go ahead and send it. Oh. So that is the whiteboard functionality, and then the other part is, oops, I left it. Meetings and files. So files, you can see all the files that are in this space. You can go and download it. And then the other thing is meetings. So what I did earlier was an ad hoc video call. I could also send a calendar invite to users where, let me see this. It should send a link. There it is, link unavailable. Gotta love demos. But it should populate a URL of where to meet. So you could schedule a time, send them an Outlook calendar or an invite, and then they could click on that link and then join this space and collaborate and do video calls. And then finally, Spark does VoIP and video, right? So I can call in, I could dial, I could meet with people. So that's basically a short version of what Spark is. So that's the Spark client. There's a web version as well, but I showed you the desktop client. All right. So why SDK for video? So this is an example. If everybody was awake, I could call. The video is high quality 1080p. You could have multiple people in the call. You could share your desktop. You can have mute, unmute controls. You can kick people out of the room. So again, it's a meeting center application first. Now, this is where this gets interesting. I want to embed Cisco Spark video into my workflow. And you can do that, right, with the SDKs. This is obviously part of medical workflow, electronic health records, and we'll get more into this, but this is just a type of environment where users just want to stay in one application and not leave it. We're seeing more and more of that, right? Like with Salesforce, they have so much stuff in their app exchange, and so many others where they're just pulling in integrations via APIs and SDKs into their applications. I'm going to go over various SDK subscriber methods. So a subscriber is someone that kind of pays for Cisco Spark. So this company, acme.com, is paying for Cisco Spark. So they have, they can embed, what they did here is embed video into their Salesforce application. And then they're calling a counterpart, and they just called them, and they reached John on his native Spark client. So you can see that the agent or the salesperson never leaves her workflow. Another aspect is non-subscribers calling a subscriber. So a non-subscriber, think of them as a guest or a client, right? This is embedding video in a application, an iOS application, an existing application. So take, for example, it's a retail customer. I have their app, the retail company's app. I'm interested in their product. I want to call somebody. So they go ahead and call the company. And the company answers on their high-end telepresence unit. So that's part of the kind of a scenario that we can do with a client or a guest to a company. Another is a non-subscriber to a non-subscriber. So this is a client to client. So you have Alice. So think of it like Airbnb. Airbnb has an app. There's no video yet, but everything's going toward video. So I want to talk to Sonita in Paris, and I'll just hit call. So that's possible through the SDK. The reason why you want to do this, right, is you want to improve the user experience. So if it's very disjointed, as you can see right now on the left side, hey, download my business app. Oh, you want to do some more work, you want to contact the agent or somebody in the company, use FaceTime, you can use Skype, whatever application, consumer application. Ours is a enterprise-grade product, right? So what we're doing is, on the right side, is embedding video into the application. And this guy has an issue with his motorcycle, right? So he's displaying battery performance to the agent, and he's showing the agent, hey, this is what's going on. Let me show you through the video client built in within the app. So that's part of the user experience that we're trying to improve. So you saw all that, and the other thing that you want to take note is, how do I start building it, right? So there's developer.ciscospark.com. All the documentation is there, and information on how to start building this. I showed you native integrations a little bit with bots. So we do bots as well. There's depot.ciscospark.com. And that has all the chat bots, like Jira integration, Splunk integration, Salesforce integration, things like that. But there's also app integration services. So Zapier, if this and that, Built.io. You can do integrations with the platform on Spark. But today we're just going to focus on the APIs and SDK. SDK benefits for the developer, right? There's quite a few. Number one, it's royalty free. H.264 is the code that we're using, and Cisco's paying for those royalties, so feel free to use it. It's open source, right? I'll show you within 3 lines of code, literally 3 lines of code, that you can embed video into your mobile application really quick. WebRTC, right? Typically in the past, you had to download a plugin to do video. Now it's, with the browser starting to support WebRTC, it's all plugin-less, you can do video. And then MIT license, and then 24/7 support. All right. This is the big one. This is what I'm really excited about. Who's an iOS user? Raise your hand. All Android? Okay. Okay. At least it's where we're at. It's a heavy market in the US with Apple. So with the Apple partnership, we signed about a year ago. We're pulling Apple into the enterprise, right? So there's a big need of a mutual partnership, because we're seeing execs bringing in iPads, MacBook Pros, iPhones, and how do I improve the user experience on video calling, for example? And I'll get into more of what the benefits of the partnership has started to grow out of all this SDK stuff that we've been doing. So it's pretty exciting. So let's go into the use cases. This is the #1 use case for video right now. It's healthcare. Budgets all around the world, right? They're tightening, finding ways to cut costs. And one of them is efficiency and saving time, right? So this is the first use case. You have a patient that has a chronic symptom always has to go see the doctor every week. Well, why not provide that patient access to an app that can remotely call the doctor or the specialist and provide feedback such as a heart rate monitor and send that information on the app to the clinician and all these other IoT devices that are coming out, right? So from the convenience of the patient's own home, they can give updates to the clinician about what's going on and not having to drive and leave and book and do a lot of things that can be done over video very quickly. So that's one use case. The second use case is rural or outside the bigger cities, branch clinics or hospitals. So the main hospital would have like a specialist, surgeon, heart surgeon, brain surgeon, whatever it is, right? But they have to have consultations. How's post-op or after the surgery, how did it go? And you can do that over video. So at the branch hospital, they can go check in and have a consultation with a doctor. And there's a lot of governments out there that are just kind of paying and funding this already because they're seeing gains and benefits just by having that specialist scale. So instead of him driving out 1 or 2 hours a day to visit different hospitals, he could stay in one location and then call into multiple hospitals. So a great way to improve the quality of care. The other one, and the last one over here, is the main hospital, right? So I have a patient sick, families overseas or traveling, and they can't be there. But a great way is to provide video access to people or family members over video to the patient. We did this for Christmas. Sometimes there's a cart, there's a cart where Santa has a beard, and sometimes some of the kids are allergic to those type of things. So we'd have a video cart a minute, and then the cart could see the kid, and family members can see the kid, and also Santa at the same time, right? So it's just a great way to kind of leverage video that way. Focus Cura. Has anyone heard about them? Yeah, they're going to start to be big. So they're based in Amsterdam, and they focus on telehealth, telemedicine, right? They're using an early access beta of the Spark SDK, and all the use cases that you saw earlier, they have implemented into their app. You can see the user experience, the UI is geared toward people that are 70 and above. Big buttons, easy to look and scroll and talk to the person that they need to. One of the also great things about what Focus Cura is starting to see is, again, back to the Apple partnership. Apple has a mobility partner program. They're starting to pull Focus Cura because Apple, right, they make sales through selling devices, right? This, your phone. So the more phones, the more happy Apple gets, right? So this application is making kind of the workflow sticky and making people leverage this tool. So with the Apple partnership, Apple is bringing them into conferences. So I was at HIMSS. HIMSS is the largest IT healthcare conference in the US. And a lot of people saw Focus Cura, and now they're starting to get a lot of traction. So they're showcasing Focus Cura. We're showcasing Focus Cura. We have about 12,000 Cisco salespeople and about 200,000 Cisco partners. So again, the benefit is now Focus Cura has an extended sales team getting traction, right? So traction through partnership. Another one is LMS, Learning Management System. This is another one where we have FAR networks building on our SDK. So FAR networks, if you want to schedule time with a teacher, just go to this LMS tool, embed video in there instead of using like Skype or WebEx. Let's just make the experience into one pane of glass. And then the final use case is manufacturing. Manufacturing is another big vertical. This is where an engineer, a field engineer, is out on site and needs expert advice from a subject matter expert where, say, a certain tool or pipe or a device is broken. They don't have the expertise, so they bring them over video. So over video, they can help troubleshoot and diagnose a problem quickly, save time on costs on traveling, and then start improving the turnaround times. So what's in the Spark SDK? Raise a hand here. Anybody Swift developers? Swift. Okay, quite a few. Android? Okay. Android's coming. This is all beta, but Android's coming. Okay. And then obviously basic HTML, CSS. Yeah. Okay. So we are showing off first on the beta the iOS SDK. It's coming out fairly soon, and you guys have access to it if you want. Just go to the website. But it's going to be launched, and it works on Swift 3.0 and Xcode 8, iOS 9 and 10, and then on the iPhone and iPad. From a browser perspective, JavaScript is leveraged, and it works on Firefox and Chrome. Some of the SDK features, right, is what I talked about and showed earlier. And Spark is calling. So I can call a cell phone. I can call a Tamberg, Cisco, Polycom video unit that's SIP compliant. I can just call it via audio. I can just do video. I can mute the call. I can increase the call volume, things like that. To embed the Spark SDK, just go to the site, right? And then you're going to get your OAuth query parameters. And that's one of the first steps. Now on to the Spark widget. So the widget is a way for you to leverage the user experience and the UI of the Spark client into a browser, right? So embed messaging and video. So these are some of the side-by-side differences of the SDK and the widget. As you can see, the platform, right, web and iOS is only on the SDK, and the widget's only web. And then the big thing is the capability, right? It's the messaging. So messaging is not in the SDK. So this is a Spark messaging widget, right? So I'm in my workflow. I'm in my web application. I want to embed chat. Chat's in there. I could drag and drop files. I could share files. I could talk about what's going on with these images. I could see who's in my space, in my room, right? There's 4 people in there. And then, something's going on with this X-ray that I have. Let me call the specialist right now, right? So from within that tool, you're calling that specialist right then and there without opening up another application. It's just built in within the browser. Awesome. Are there any questions so far? Yeah. That I can't answer. I'm hoping sometime late this year, but the roadmap it kind of shifts based on priority. So, but yeah, it definitely is going to be there. There's going to be a need. Any more questions? Good. Yeah.
Besides one-to-one or multiple parties meetings, can you also broadcast large scale?
From a messaging standpoint, yes. From a video standpoint, this is just one-to-one, or unless you call into a device that triggers multiple calls. Now, what's nice about APIs and chatbots is if you want to broadcast message and SMS text people, like, hey, this is a code blue, this is an emergency, all hands on deck, send a notification to everybody. We can do that from within the messaging application, right? based on a workflow. So a good example is ServiceNow. It's a big ticketing, or Zendesk, whatever you want to, ticketing system you want to use. If there is a priority one issue, that the way we configure it is triggered, and whoever's on call on Zendesk that day, we have an automation where it ties into Spark and Tropo. So if you have not gone to our labs, we have a Tropo lab in N3, and it'll SMS text those users that are on call, like, hey, there's an issue. It could also dial out and call those users and join them into a conference bridge, and then also even embed a video URL to join that meeting, right? So that is one use case for kind of incident management and notifications for, hey, this is an emergency. But hopefully I answered your question.
Actually, I have a follow-up.
Yeah.
For example, if I have a meeting in my company and I want to make that meeting public, is there a way to make like everyone on the internet possibly connect as a guest and watch
Oh, yeah.
the meeting?
Yeah. So that's good. So if you want to do a one-to-many conversation, right? So engaging, that's good. So a one-to-many. So WebEx does that. You could 1 to 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. This event center that you can do, right? You can broadcast video that way. You could do chat. You could monitor the chat. You could have hosts. You could mute everybody. Then open up the panel where now it's an open forum where everybody can talk to the person that's speaking, and then mute everybody. So that's possible with that.
Yeah, and that's all control, like, okay, you can speak,
Yeah.
or you can just watch.
Yeah, so that's another, it's not in here yet. So if you're familiar with WebEx, a lot of what WebEx has is starting to get ported over into Cisco Spark. So that's what's happening. Yeah. WebRTC. So what's going on with WebRTC, right? So the browser readiness. You can see that a lot of browsers out there. Internet Explorer, right, with Microsoft, fairly big. Right now it's not supporting it, but they do support ORTC. Safari, Mac, not yet, but Firefox and Chrome. Oh, I am running out of time soon. But it's getting there. So let me go to the actual demo, right? So I'm going to show you guys that 3 lines of code that only takes to do video, right? So this is it. So all I have to do is put in my Spark ID, key, and who to call. So let me go ahead and compile it. So while it's compiling, so there's the API key that I'm gonna reference, my Spark API key, and then who do I want to call? So it's going to be the recipient URI. So it could be like Josh at Cisco.com. And then the self.present is an iOS or iPhone, iPad thing, and then we make those calls. So while it's compiling, and I know I'm running out of time, basically take a look at, go to room, I believe N3, and check out some of the labs that we have there that you guys can play around with so you can start developing and following up on some of these things. The other part is developer.ciscospark.com is a good site to start looking into these SDKs. While it's still compiling, any more questions? Nope. Wish I had a faster computer. So it's going to basically open up the simulator, and the simulator is going to be a retail app. So this retail app, basically the use case is I call into it, and I am asking more information about a shirt that I saw that's on sale. And I can talk to an agent over video, because the experience is a lot better than over the phone. And I can also sometimes get to see the inventory over video and how the quality of the shirt is like. So once that simulator comes up, you'll get to see a demo of that. And then overall, it's just, again, 3 lines of code that you can embed video into your application. These slides will be available to you. A lot of these will be including the quick start guide for iOS, sample app, source codes on GitHub, the widget, the JavaScript. I mean, that's basically the entire presentation. That's it. Now we're just going to just wait till it compiles. So I know I have about a minute left. So any questions while I tap dance? So who's working on a video project right now? Yeah? You are? Okay. That's why you had a lot of questions. Yeah. Very good. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We're hoping by near the end of the year. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what we're hoping. Not committed yet, though. So it's roadmap for that. Good. Well, guys, I will show. If you want to stick around, I can show you more of the demos. But I really do appreciate your time today. I hope you took out a lot of things. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for the next few minutes. Thank you for your time.